listings are sitting longer, 40 days on average, but some are 60, some are 50, and we have to understand that sellers may be panicking, but I think agents might be panicking a little bit more. And we need to take a deep breath and figure out exactly what we can do, not only to get these listings moved, but absolutely leverage them to level up your business. And you have that opportunity, and we're going to dive in next. What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy Kane with the Real Estate Agent Playbook, helping agents like you find solutions in our market. And that's exactly what this one is about. I see a lot of agents dropping prices quickly and not having enough tools in their tool belt. And it starts with communication, it starts up front. But I help agents like you solve the problem based on your market every single day. And I would love to have a conversation with you if you are feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and just need someone to talk to. Let's game plan. I love talking to agents about getting buyers off the fence, getting sellers, back into our corner. That's what I do. So if you like that, please reach out below, all the contact information, but also like this video, subscribe to my channel because I provide strategies all the time to help you level up your game as a real estate agent. And guess what? I did it all myself. I'm still doing it myself 100% organically, and I think you can too. Okay, so here we are, 2025, and we are in a position that we haven't been in 10 to 15 years, maybe 15, we'll talk about that later. But as we grow, we need to understand that it's our communication and our expectations up front. Right? We need to normalize the idea that listings may sit for a month or two, or maybe 3, but hopefully not. But we have to do this by not front loading everything, right? We're not at the stage where it's like, go to Great Wolf Lodge with the kids, I'll pay, come back on Sunday and we'll have multiple offers. Sometimes it happens, depending on the price point, depending on the neighborhood, depending on the house. However, as agents, the norm is becoming much different, right? And there's this, mid-listing slump where you're coming out of the market, maybe the first 2 weekends, you're having some showings, getting some feedback, and then it starts to wear off. The news starts to wear off. Why? Because all of our marketing was front-loaded, all of our MLS was front-loaded, all of our, flyers and open houses and everything was on that first weekend. And then it's like, okay, well, we got it out there. Let's just wait for the MLS to sell it. And even in the hot times, if you were way overpriced or something like that, listings did have this kind of mid-listing slump. After 10 to 14 days, it kind of lost some traction. You might still catch a flyer, which, in the past market, you certainly did. But it's not that market where if we're not selling in that opening weekend, we're just not priced right. That's not the case. And so we need to make sure that we aren't panic price dropping because you're just chasing the market to the bottom. And if everybody's just price cutting and that's the only tool we're using, we will end up, really doing poor things to our market, right? And so we need to understand that depending on the timing and depending on the situation, absolutely, right? And the truth is, some listings are overpriced still, but we need to find that out through what we're doing. So it starts with the expectation. Talk about that. Talk about our first 2 weeks are really important, but then there might be a lull. It doesn't mean that we're, completely way off target. Doesn't mean anything. Let's just kind of wait and see, but it's okay to communicate that up front because you set those expectations and you understand. And with the pivot that I'm going to explain to you shortly, this will be a much easier conversation. So first and foremost, what can you fix before you start price dropping, or what can you at least analyze, right? Is the photos, do they need updated? In Colorado right now, the listings have been sitting on for a little bit, might have snow in the front yard, and now the backyards are beautiful and vibrant. It's okay to spend another $100 to get your photographer back out there to take some exterior pictures, I promise, right? So look at those, look at that. Does the staging need to be updated? Is there a couple things that keep coming up on feedback that need to be changed, right? Can we refresh the listing description? Can we put stuff out there that makes it a little bit different, right? The age-old trick, right? Change that front listing photo, drop the price $100 so it ends up in those emails. Certainly things we can do, but not necessarily something that, is required, but take an analytical approach and look at it and non-bias and just say, okay, what would I think as a buyer? And if you can't do that, which I struggle because it's kind of like all the things, have your spouse do it or have, somebody else look at it, right? I recently had an open house. One of my agents went through and they're like, they need to do this, this, and this. I think, there's opportunity here, but as it sits, we're overpriced. But if they do these things, we might be able to get that price. And it's just feedback, right? And that was an agent that she was experienced, but certainly not as experienced as mine, but that's, 1 degree of separation surely helped and kind of opened my eyes to some of the things that we can do and, get creative and so on. So that's huge. Obviously, getting out there and doing some updated videos, or, maybe you did a video at first, maybe you can add some shorts. This is all stuff in my listing plan that I plan out. So what I do is I go out to the, on photo shoot day, we're doing the professional photography, the drone, all the things. And I have a videographer there with me, right? We stay out of the way, they get the professional photography done. And then we're going to do a full length video. We're going to do a short length video. We're going to do some shorts and features on the house that I like. We're going to do, some neighborhood stuff so that I have that in my tool belt as we, go to get closer to the average days on market. We can slowly drip those out. So it's reminding the audience, or maybe someone was on vacation and now they see it, now they have to have it, right? That's exactly what we do. So if you have a plan, you're market savvy, you can build a 15 to 30 day, refresh checklist, or you can, have a delayed marketing plan, which I have. Reach out to me and I can send that to you for sure. I'm actually releasing a GPT that you as a listing agent can put the address, it'll analyze the listing for you, it'll give you ideas, it'll give you video scripts. It's gonna be super cool. I just have to make sure it's dialed in. But if you comment listing GPT below, I will certainly send that to you, because the truth is this video isn't coming out for a week or two and it'll be done by then. So make sure that you do that if you want to play around with this and have an assistant in your pocket in the form of ChatGPT, and you can absolutely take your listings to the next level. Next, maybe your home is overpriced. Maybe your listing is overpriced, and that's something that we can start to talk about. But let's start driving home the data, right? If we put a listing video out and it had 400 views the first weekend, now it's got 450 or whatever it is, right? That gets kind of old and stale. We need to get information from everywhere. Zillow, yep, I said the Z word. Look at the listing on there. Look at your MLS matrix. Look at your MLS email blast open rates. Look at all of these things. Look at your weekly emails. Whatever you're doing, make sure that you're understanding, hey, your property was highlighted here. That's an impression. That's a view. And then plant the seeds. Lay out the story. Show the numbers. And then go to your MLS and understand, okay, we can do this, we can check the average days on market, we can do all these things and incorporate those into the conversation where you can say, typically homes have gone under contract after, 15 showings, and we're averaging 7 to 8 showings a month. Those numbers don't usually add up for some reason. I'm not sure why, but that's a very, traditional number. We've been on the market, we've had 15 showings. And we've only been on a month, so we're ahead of pace as far as showings. But that to me tells me that it might be time to look at the price. This is all the impressions, this is the average showings, and so on. And you have that data to kind of dial it in. Then you can go see what the average price drop is. You can see what the average price drop was for homes that were on the market that went under contract. You can have all of this at your fingertips through your MLS, and you do typically. So make sure that you're using those tools and learning how to use those tools so that you can take an entire package that's data driven, remove that emotion, and have those conversations. But before you have all of that, please don't just rush to the table with a price cut. Now, one caveat is you say, hey, Mr. Seller, this is what your home's worth. They want to list it a little bit higher. Certainly you're not going to turn down a listing. I don't care what you say. You all take overpriced listings, right? If you have that conversation and you have a price drop plan, still bring the statistics to show it, but also, that's a little bit different scenario. So once it is a time to adjust, the data should show and your sellers should be much more on board. Now comes the conversation like, we can't lower the price because we can't sell it for that. Totally different, totally different conversation. And I'm not saying you force your clients to drop the price with the statistics and things like that. You have to have that relationship. You have to have that empathy. But one of the things I just talked to a client today, right? He's like, my dream is to keep that property and build an apartment one day on it, and turn the single family into, 3 to 6 units right on the edge of Colorado State's campus. Okay, let's do that, right? Us as agents in a professional manner have to look at the opportunity cost that people are doing by putting their house on the market. If he has the skills to do that and he has a dream to do that and he has a desire to do that, that's an amazing investment, right? And I said, if that's the goal and you have the energy to do it and you want to do it and you can hold the property, financially for that long, yes, do it, right? Or, hey, we're kind of up against the gun. Pretty much after fees, you're going to be even, Steven, because you bought the property, 2 years ago. You have to, as an agent, be like, have you ever thought about renting it, right? It's okay to lose that listing, because I promise you, if you come from that empathetic, strategic place where you're looking at it, you're looking at the options, and you're presenting options that do not benefit you as the agent, you can absolutely win that client over for referrals, for future transactions. And so I want you guys all to hear that there is a time and a place to sell. How's the market? It depends. It also applies to sellers, right? So not to say everybody does that, not to say none of you do it, but it's something that you need to understand. And it's really difficult when you are trying to put food on your family's plates and all the things, but sometimes there is better options out there than putting the house on the market so that you get the listing, so that you can market it, so that you can sell it and get that commission. And so make sure that that's part of it, right? Because I promise you, the return on getting that listing, or the future business and the future relationships that will come from you taking, that approach and saying, yeah, like, let's look at renting it, right? You may be able to list it as a rental, I don't know, in your market, but let's look at it and come from that angle, and you will be shocked, right? That would almost multiply your listings. Now, don't go talking people out of selling and all the things, because that's a whole other thing, right? It has to come from them. It has to come from their desires and needs. But there is some strategy behind just saying, okay, let's look at all these options. We're getting tight here on, your profit that you wanted to walk away with to buy the next home. Let's look at that first, right? Let's look at what your options are. If you only have $80,000 to put down on your next house, do we still get into that, area where you can move on? So all of this has so much to do with these price cuts and just slashing the prices left and right and just getting to the bottom of the market, right? So it's time to adjust the price when the strategy and the statistics meet. And that's something that we need to get through, we need to understand, and we need to stop as agents just having a price drop as the only tool in our tool belt. So if you want to talk about this, please let me know. Listing GPT below. We'll get all that to you. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time.